What you guys got another video? Turn this off now before you get hacked. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Browser autofill is one of those conveniences most of us barely think of. We leave it enabled by default. It remembers passwords, addresses, and payment details. Yes, it saves time, and with every login or checkout on Windows systems, especially Windows 10 and Windows 11, this feature is widely used across Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Firefox, and many other browsers. However, what makes autofill convenient also makes it attractive to cybercriminals. So if you want to secure your browser, go to Google Chrome, click the three dots, and then click Settings. What we're going to do is go into autofill and passwords, because if cybercriminals gain access to all this information, this will be all your precious sensitive information like your address, your name, your credit card details, your debit card details, passwords, even your card verification value, CVV, 3-digit number, which is what hackers will be after. So if you want to disable a lot of this information, you can come into autofill and passwords, and let's say contact information, i.e. your address. You can see here by default, save and fill addresses. All this is stored information, includes your phone numbers, your email addresses, and your shipping address. So I would advise you turning this off and physically typing this in every single time, rather than having it autofill all of this information for you, because autofill can be exploited in several ways. Hidden form field attacks allow malicious websites to insert invisible fields into pages. Your browser can automatically fill in them, sending your personal data to attackers without your awareness. Keyloggers and malware captures data the moment it appears in a form filled on a website when you're filling it out. Once you submit, you're submitting it basically to the keylogger person on the other end who has all that information. I would turn off all your payment methods right here so it doesn't store any of this stuff on your system or even in the cloud. I would never ever store this sort of stuff on a PC. You should be typing this in every single time, and then when you close the computer down, there'll be no information stored, and that's important. And this is where cybercriminals will try to get local access to your system via remote support. And what they're looking for is all your saved passwords and your payment details, which is directly from your browser settings. And that's where you have to be careful. So if you are one of these people that do have autofill on and you've been using it for many years, I would advise you to start turning it off. Now, there's also the Google password manager, which is something that you should be using if you want to store passwords on a PC, i.e. in some sort of extension or password manager. I don't particularly use password managers, but I know a lot of people do. And if you're one of these people, you can set up Google Password Manager. But you would have to look at some of the settings that you're turning off to make sure Google Password Manager works. But if you do want to turn off any sort of saved passwords and passkeys, you can do that right here. And you'll be able to turn them all off by just toggling this off. And you can see sign in automatically. So many people leave all their passwords and sign-in details in their browser because they can't be bothered to type them in all the time. Once you've done this, you want to clear all this information if you're not going to be storing any information like that on your browser. So just follow along and delete all that information out of your browser. You want to make sure everything has gone. Once you've done this, you want to go to privacy and security. Once you've done that, go into delete browsing history and data. From here, you want to make sure that you're deleting all of the stored information on that browser. This can be an all-time deletion because we want to make sure we remove everything: browsing history, cookies, other site data, cached images and files, download history, autofill data, which is important, site settings, and hosted app data and things like that. Click delete and it will remove all of this from your browser. So many autofill attacks come from phishing or convincing emails, which lead to fake websites designed to trigger autofill information. And this is how they get access to all that sensitive information. Some of it's through remote support. Now, if you're using Microsoft Edge, you want to go into your settings panel. Again, these are all pretty similar. You want to go into passwords and autofill. And again, you would just go through the same process. Turn off what you don't use. If you're using a password manager through Microsoft Edge, then you might be okay to continue to use that. If you want to use Microsoft Edge Password Manager or Google Chrome's Password Manager or any other ones that are related to the browser, you can continue to configure these settings to your liking. If you're not going to be using any of those password managers, then turn them off. Turn everything off, because you don't need any information stored on that browser or on that PC. Because if someone does gain access through remote desktop via some sort of phishing scam or some sort of dodgy website, they can gain access to all this sensitive information. So just follow through like I'm showing you right here. Any saved addresses, passwords, any of that stuff, turn it all off. And I understand that this is a real convenience for you by just going to a website and just starting to type your name, and then all of a sudden it auto fills everything out for you, your address, your card numbers and things like that. It's not safe and you shouldn't be doing that. And I understand that people prefer the convenience of that. But unfortunately, if you want to be safe and secure online, then I would advise you to turn all that stuff off, because it's just not safe. After you've changed all the settings in either of these browsers, you want to clear all of the data that's stored in there by going to all time and basically check mark everything that you want to remove, and then basically click on the clean now, and it will clear all the stored data on that browser. And if you want to do Mozilla Firefox, you can do. That is easy enough to do. All you need to do is go to the hamburger bar and then go to settings. Again, just go over to passwords and autofill and just go through the motions here with passwords, addresses, card payment details, and all that sort of good stuff. I'm showing you on the screen how to basically do that. It is very straightforward. Now, sometimes when people downloaded pirate software off the internet, or they download crack software off the internet, this is how malware gets onto the system. This could be some sort of zero-day malware on the system that you've just installed. Your antivirus program might not be able to detect it, and all of a sudden you're going to get into big problems, because now you might have a keylogger on there, or you might have some sort of other remote backdoor rat on the system, which is basically going to allow someone to come in, and of course they can gain access to all of this sort of information. That's why people always tell you never to store passwords and other sensitive information on your system, but they'd forget to tell you about your browser. And because a lot of these browsers are Chromium based, a lot of the settings are going to be pretty much very similar to change. So just go through and open up your browser and go through the settings and change them. Now, if you want to use a password manager, one that I would recommend you use is called Bitwarden. It's free, as you can see here, and you can download this and use it on your system. You can put all your sensitive information, passwords and things like that inside here. It should be encrypted and be much more safer than using autofill, which is what a lot of people still use. So basically, that's something I would recommend people use if they do need to use some sort of password manager. And of course, there's plenty of these to choose from. There's 1Password and many other ones that you can use if you need to use some form of password manager. My only concerns with password managers are that some of these have been obviously data breached and people have gained access to all of the information inside. Sometimes it's login details or whatever it may be that's been breached. And just check and make sure you do your research before using some form of password manager to make sure they are nice and secure. And if you want to know more information about keyloggers and other things like rats, you can check out ESET's website. They've got full articles explaining in great detail of what these things are and how they can infiltrate the system, and how cyber criminals are using this technology to be able to gain access to all your sensitive information in your browser and many other places on your computer. And that is the reason why I use a good solid third-party antivirus software like ESET. I've been using it for over 5 years, and it has a lot of features inside here like web access protection, and there's lots of other features inside here like anti-phishing protection and other things like that, which you can configure to your liking. There's loads of different stuff in here like parenting control and HTTPS traffic scanning, and there's other ones inside here as well which will help keep your system safe. Now, some people might say Windows Defender is good enough. You need to be very, very careful with Windows Defender because it doesn't have the features that something like this has. This has good features like safe banking and browsing, and also browser protection, secure all browsers and extensions installed on that browser as well. So you've got enhanced memory protection, enhanced data protection, browser screen protection. Also, we have keyboard protection. That is against keyloggers and things like that, which is what we talked about already in this video. Clipboard protection, and many other features that will protect you against the sort of things that we've been talking about in this video, like keyloggers, rats, and sites that have been infiltrated by cyber criminals to gain access to your system or even your information. We have browser protection and security. We have browser script scanners as well, and plenty of other options inside here which are completely configurable to your own liking. Straight out the box, just with default settings, ESET's internet security is going to keep you a lot more secure than what Windows Defender will. You've also got HIPs on here as well, and a bunch of other highly advanced security features that will keep your PC safe. But don't take my word for it. Just go on the internet and have a look around at some of the articles and some of the videos online, and you'll see plenty of people that highly recommend programs like ESET. It's got deep behavior inspection as well, and this will dig deep into the operating system and keep your system safe as well. And you've also got a ransomware shield on here, which is something that Windows Defender just doesn't really do that good at protecting your system. So there's a lot of these features that aren't included in Windows Defender. Now, I'm not saying that people that use Windows Defender are vulnerable. It just depends on how you use your computer and what you're doing on your computer. So this will keep you a lot more safer than Windows Defender, in my personal opinion. Windows Defender is okay for just basic needs, but if you need something that's more secure and more advanced, something like this is going to give you way more better protection. And especially if you're doing banking online in 2026 and you're doing other things online where you're making payments for certain things like Amazon and other sites like that, then I would suggest you get up on your security and start protecting your system with something like this. This can be used in conjunction with some of the other settings that we talked about, like Autofill and other things like that. You can configure all of this how you like and have more aggressive, more balanced and more caution settings on here as well. For potentially unwanted unsafe apps, you can put this on aggressive or balanced so you don't ever fall foul to any of those fake apps that are trying to infiltrate your system. There's plenty of other settings on here I can go through and spend literally a whole hour going through some of the settings on ESET. And check out my channel because I've done other videos on ESET before about some of the settings and things like that. You've got Essential, you've got Premium, and you've got Ultimate. And even the Essential is only $24.49 for the whole year, one device, 1 year. And you've also got the Premium, which is probably something that I would go for, which is £45.49. And that's going to give you one device and 1 year. Now, for the middle tier premium version, you'll get a VPN, unlimited VPN access as well. If you haven't seen that video, I've done a video on this about what the VPN is like. They don't contain or keep any logs on the VPN software. They've got plenty of servers you can use. It's a pretty decent bit of kit. And plus you're getting that added protection for your browser and emails and things like that. So if you're worrying about emails coming down and you're worrying about clicking on links, this software will scan all your emails as they come onto the system. If you're using programs like Outlook, it's a must-have bit of kit. Anyway, with that said, I think that's going to be about it. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. My name has been Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. Just want to say a quick shout out to all my YouTube members. I really do appreciate the support, and I shall catch you in the next video. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.